Pastelmat is one of the most expensive surfaces that I use on a regular basis. But don't let this luxury price tag scare you off, because this paper, when used correctly, can actually save you time, frustration, and money. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get Pastelmat to work for you. We're going to start with a side-by-side demo. Then we're going to dive into my portfolio, and I'm going to show you exactly when and when not to use Pastelmat. Finally, I'm going to set you up with your very first project and show you how you can get started with this paper in the most affordable way possible and with the very best results. Let's get started by looking at Pastelmat's unique qualities.
You've probably seen GSM or G/M squared listed on paper packaging before. This is a number that tells you how thick and sturdy your paper is. Tracing paper is going to be the thinnest paper you probably come across. It's 41 GSM, incredibly thin and flimsy. The heaviest drawing paper that I regularly use is a hot press watercolor paper. This light fast paper is 300 GSM. I'm going to be testing three papers side by side. I've got printer paper at 75 GSM. I've got Rembrandt pastel paper at 160 GSM. This paper is definitely sturdier than printer paper, but it's still relatively thin. And of course, I'll be demonstrating on Pastelmat, coming in at 360 GSM, over twice as heavy as the Rembrandt pastel paper.
Pastelmat's high GSM means that it is thicker and more durable, which allows you to build up more layers, use heavier pressure, and to blend without worrying about warping or buckling.
In fact, this paper is so sturdy that I don't even have to tape it all the way around on my drawing board. I just put a couple of rolls of tape on the back, throw it up on my drawing board or my table, and I'm good to go. There's also a smooth white backing on Pastelmat that helps to maintain the paper's structure and integrity, and it's specifically designed to support the unique drawing surface on the front. Speaking of the front side, let's compare the drawing surface on each of these papers. The printer paper is smooth and slippery, and it doesn't have tooth or texture, so it's barely going to hold on to your pastels or your pastel pencils. And forget about layering. In fact, because printer paper is so slick, I've actually seen artists use it as a palette for mixing their pan pastels before they apply them onto another surface. Next, we have Rembrandt pastel paper. This has a light tooth, and when you begin to apply layers of pigment, you'll actually see it has this waffle texture. This surface will hold a few layers of pastel, but your pastels aren't going to be super permanent. Now, let's compare the waffly texture of budget pastel paper to Pastelmat, which has a velvety texture. This paper feels so smooth to the touch and doesn't seem like it would hold tons of layers, but this paper is straight up sorcery because it actually holds so much material, and it holds it so well that you don't end up needing any fixative on the surface at the very end. It also makes the colors look so much more bold and vibrant. One thing I love about pan pastels is using them to create a base layer and then coming over the top with either pastel pencils or colored pencils to refine my details. No surprises here, both the light and the dark pastel pencils do not stick on top of the pan pastels on the printer paper, even though I can get them to draw on clean, fresh printer paper. When I move over to the pastel paper by Rembrandt, I expected better results. There's a medium amount of pan pastel on this paper, but unfortunately the pastel pencils didn't stick here either. You'll notice a little bit of resistance as I put the pastel pencil over this very thick layer of pan pastel. The more pan pastel you put down, the harder it is to come over the top with any material, but that's when I have a ton of material down. Over on the right, I have a more moderate amount, and look at how crisp and clean I can get these lines to appear. This is such a great and efficient way to create texture.
After seeing these demos side by side, it might feel like a no-brainer that Pastelmat is going to be the better option for most pastel-based projects. Budget papers can't hold very many layers of pastel, which means that as you continue to put material on the surface, it's falling out and getting wasted.
Look at all of the dust that falls off the printer paper and Rembrandt pastel paper.
Also, because they don't hold very many layers, if you have a proportional issue at the beginning of your drawing that you notice a little bit later, you're gonna have to scrap that entire thing or just eat the awful proportional issues. But with Pastelmat, you can come right over the top of a proportional issue and draw just like I'm doing with this goat portrait. I am fixing the proportions with my colored pencils, and the bad proportions that were there earlier are completely obliterated. This is obviously going to save you time, money, and a whole lot of frustration.
And back to the Pastelmat, look at the beating that this paper can take and still there's no fallout.
Now that you've seen how Pastelmat compares to the budget pastel papers out there, let's compare it to a couple higher end options. Sanded papers like Art Spectrum and the Luxe Archival Sanded Paper have a texture that holds dozens and dozens of layers. This allows you to fix your mistakes just like Pastelmat, but this sanded texture comes at a cost. It can be really hard on your fingers if you like to blend with your fingers, and it's incredibly hard on your blending tools. Additionally, you are going to be wearing through your pastels and your pencils very quickly because it's like grinding them on sandpaper. There's a lot of fallout as you work, and this is not healthy for you to be breathing. It also is not great for your bottom line when you're investing in high quality art materials. These high-end pastel papers all come at about the same cost, roughly $4 for a 9x12 sheet. But I'm going to pick Pastelmat every time because it's so much more enjoyable to work with. This surface has been such a great investment in my art practice, but it isn't necessarily the surface that I use for every single project. Let's dive into my portfolio and I'll show you exactly when and when I don't use this surface.
To kick things off, I'm going to show you some pieces that I created on the Rembrandt pastel paper. I'll explain exactly when this paper is going to be best and what projects I would use it for. This surface is great for quick gestural studies because you can smudge out the first layer with your finger and come back over with a more permanent material. I also love using this paper when I'm making really quick studies where the paper does a ton of the work, like it did for these red pandas. The red of the paper is really illustrating the majority of the fur, and then I come in with a couple marks either with colored pencil or pastel to really give it form and dimension without a lot of time and effort. On the cream paper, I'm leaning a little bit more into pan pastels and pastel pencils, and this can be a great combination if you're doing color studies. For those of you unfamiliar with color studies, these are just simplified explorations of color, which focus on relationships and value and harmony and help you create a plan for the final artwork. I sometimes think that a little color study is so beautiful in and of itself, and you could totally pop it in a frame, and this is a beautiful, worthy work of art. But it isn't about fine detail. It isn't a rigorous work of art. It's a playful exploration. When I want to get down and dirty with my details, it's always time for Pastelmat. Let me show you a couple of pieces that I created on Pastelmat so that you can really see the difference between these two approaches. For this adorable little pig, I used a piece of Buttercup Pastelmat, the same color that I used in the demo. You'll see some of that yellow coming through the fur, and it also helps to add some cohesion to the entire piece. I was able to lay down each and every individual strand of hair in this, and look at how permanent the pan pastels and colored pencils are on this surface. I don't need any fixative to keep everything exactly where it is. I loved how this little guy turned out so much that I made some fine art prints, and if you're interested in snagging one of those, there's more information down in the video description. 99 times out of 100, if I'm drawing an animal with fur, I'm doing it on Pastelmat. This surface is amazing for layering individual hairs, and it also works great for birds too. It can be tricky to get the texture of feathers right when you're working on a smooth hot press watercolor paper, but when you're on Pastelmat, you can continue to layer color over the top and build up that texture with each subsequent layer. Traditionally, I have leaned into using a hot press watercolor paper when it comes to portraits and when it comes to drawing highly detailed plants and florals. But I recently tried my very first floral piece on Pastelmat, and I was just overwhelmed with how it turned out. I was really, really happy with this piece. So now I'm wondering if I've got to try a portrait. Let me know if you'd like to see this in the comments. So to quickly summarize, I want you to lean into the surface when you are working with a ton of material and you want to build up lots and lots of layers. Remember that your budget pastel papers will not allow you to do this. I also want you to use this surface if you are creating a piece that you plan to sell or to frame and you're working with any type of pastel. This is because this surface is going to hold your pastel much more permanently, and it won't require a fixative that could alter the look of your work. This is also a phenomenal surface to use if you are working with textures, specifically fur or animal textures. It is not the only surface that will give you amazing results, but it is my favorite and it's the most efficient.
I've mentioned it already, but Pastelmat is not just for pastels. I love using colored pencils on this surface, and there are a bunch of other materials that you can use as well. This surface is advertised to be compatible with most wet and dry materials, and honestly, I have barely scratched the surface of this claim. So if you are interested in seeing more videos of me experimenting with different supplies that you can use on this paper, or diving into more techniques on this surface, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to put another video together soon. At this point, I hope that I've convinced you that my favorite paper is worth trying. So now let's talk about how to set you up for success and how to get started with this paper affordably. I recommend getting yourself a 7 by 9.5 inch pad of paper. This is about $33. It has 12 sheets in it, and there are multiple colors that are great for a bunch of different projects. I'm going to recommend palette number 1 because one of the papers in here is going to set you up perfectly for your first project. Once you get your pad of paper, I want you to immediately take one sheet out and set it aside as your test sheet. This is going to allow you to be more experimental and playful and test out different strategies before you put them into your final projects. I know a lot of you are going to have an issue with a $3 test sheet, but listen, you spent way more than that on your last coffee or your last snack out and about, and this investment is going to set you up for more enjoyment, more success, and is ultimately going to save you more money with your upcoming pastel projects. For your first project, I recommend that you follow along step by step with me in my Kingfisher tutorial. Here I'm going to take you through the entire drawing step by step, and all I use is a 12 set of pastel pencils. These can be purchased for about $20, linked in the notes below, but if you don't want to grab those, you could do this project with the colored pencils or the materials that you already have. You'll just need to experiment a little bit with your blending strategies, and that's what that test paper is for. I'll see you over there.